Am I the butthole for pulling my pants down and showing my husband my underwear after he insisted that I was on my period when I wasn't? My husband has a habit of blaming my behavior/reaction on my period. For example, when we argue he'd say, "I won't argue anymore since you tend to act crazy when you're on your period," or even say, "I know you didn't mean to do/say that, but couldn't help it since it's that time of month for you." It's so irritating and it prevents me from being allowed to express myself. It happened again last night at dinner table. We had an argument about him forgetting to fill my car with gas after he used it, and when I expressed my frustration he said, "We will not talk about this now since you appear to be on your period." I said that I was not on my period and that this was just me feeling frustrated with him. He insisted he won't talk about this then and insisted he won't hear what I had to say since I was on my period, since I was being irrational during the argument. I snapped and had enough. So I got up, stood in front of him while he was still eating and pulled down my pants and showed him my underwear. He made a grossed out face and shouted, "F that's nasty, I'm eating my damn dinner, damn it." We had a full-blown argument and he said I acted horribly and ruined his appetite by pulling that nasty move. He told me to grow up and stop being spiteful over nothing. He keeps saying I grossed him out during dinner and made him go to bed hungry. Am I the butthole? Did I overreact? You're not the butthole, and your husband is a misogynist. He's weaponizing a sexist trope to belittle your emotions and avoid treating you like a person, and it sounds like you're at breaking point. At best he has no respect for you, and at worst I'd honestly say his behavior is crossing into emotional abuse territory. Throw the whole man away. Am I the butthole for showing up at my ex's wedding in a pretty dress? My ex and I had a peaceful divorce. We co-parent our 3 children together and there haven't really been many issues. My ex is getting married to Stephanie. I like Stephanie, she has been great with my kids and makes my ex happy. My ex invited me to their wedding and I was happy for him. It was my day with the kids, so it made sense for me to come, was his reasoning. When I arrived at the wedding, Stephanie thanked me for dropping the kids off and brushed me off. We had never had any issues before. I explained that I was going to stay for the reception and she was very upset. I was confused because I assumed she knew I would be in attendance. It turned out she didn't consider that I would actually accept the invitation. I told her that I was invited and since I took the 2-hour drive I would be staying for the entire duration. She didn't like this response. Stephanie asked me to leave and I stood my ground. She went on to complain about my dress upstaging hers. My ex and former mother-in-law helped her to calm down and the wedding shortly began. I thought that was the end of it, but later in private Stephanie accused me of trying to ruin her special day. She is convinced that I wanted to show off and make the wedding about my divorce. She said it was rude for me not to leave after the bride requested it because it was her special day. I told her that I am not responsible for her insecurities and once again reminded her that I have no interest in stealing my ex back. Edit: the dress is posted on my page and since this is a throwaway I don't remember the random password I typed up. I will also be active on u/ClosureSeekAnyX too. You're the butthole. I love when these posts are skewed to be, but I didn't do anything wrong. And then you see the dress and it's literally a red wedding dress. ETA, this is from her post on her profile. Can you show us the dress? After seeing the dress, you're the butthole. That dress is too much for a guest at a wedding. Way too bright, and unless this was a super elegant wedding, too much. I doubt too elegant, as you said barely any dress code was given besides no white. Am I the butthole for letting my wife look foolish in front of our friends because I am tired of explaining something to her for the 1000th time? My wife does not understand why there are black bars on movies. The greatest thing to ever happen to me was when all TVs started being sold in 16:9 instead of 4:3. Before we got our new TV I would have to spend half an hour at the beginning of every movie trying to explain that there wasn't anything cut out in those areas. That if the movie was going to fill out TV screen then we would actually lose out on the stuff happening on the left and right sides of the movie. Every single time. So we got together yesterday with a bunch of her teacher friends. The TV was on in the background and someone out on the Hateful Eight. It was filmed in a super wide aspect. So even on the TVs we have now there is still a black striped top and bottom. My wife noticed and started complaining about why they were cutting off the top and bottom of movies again. All of her friends started trying to explain it to her. One of them finally got out some construction paper and cut out the shape of films and screens and got her to understand. When we got home she was pissed at me for not explaining it to her and letting her look like an idiot. I asked her if she remembered that she used to always complain and all the times I explained it to her. I literally had to out and get cardboard and cover the sides of the TV like I used to before to get her to remember. She is still mad at me, but I'm not sure what else I could have done. I thought I would never have to deal with this problem ever again. Am I the butthole? #edit. My wife isn't dumb. She is smarter than me and probably most of us here. She just can't understand this one thing. Not the butthole, OP. If you're serious about the construction paper thing. I don't think I need to say more there. You've explained it to her before. I can't believe I have to say this, but if she didn't get it after the many times you explained that, then I can't fault you there. Is she okay? You said teacher friends. Wait, she's a teacher? Am I the butthole for fighting with my parents about having my own bedroom? Me, 14 female, my twin sister Kate and out parents, 40s, live in a 4-bedroom house. My parents have the master, the second room is a guest room, Dad uses the third room as an office and my sister and I share the other room. The 3 regular bedrooms are small. Dad works from home 2 days a week and we have guests maybe 10 days a year. I'm very outgoing, I like having people over, and Kate's an introvert who wants to watch her old TV shows and talk to her friends on Discord. She likes order and I like putting my clothes on the chair without being yelled at. We've been asking to have our own room since we were 9, and my parents are refusing to move us because we don't have enough space for everybody's needs. Quarantine was awful. Kate and I fought all the time and our parents yelled at her when she moved her stuff to the guest room because mom has her craft stuff in the closet and what if grandma had to stay with us for a while? I love my sister but this is making me like her less and sometimes I think she barely tolerates me because we're always in each other's space. We barely fit in here anymore, the closet is too small for our clothes, Kate's books are in stacks on the floor, I can't listen to music in peace, and my friends ask why are we sleeping in bunk beds in a 4-bedroom house. Yesterday I was looking for my hair curler and caused a book avalanche that knocked the USS Enterprise whatever off the desk. Kate was screaming, I was screaming, and she asked for the 1000th time to combine the guest room and office so she can take the other room. Dad said he absolutely needs an office. I said I absolutely need a closet and it doesn't make sense to have all this space and put both his kids in a single room. Mom said we're not entitled to a bedroom each and there are millions of children who share a room and if we wanted more space we should get rid of some stuff and stop living like hoarders. Like, we're sorry for being 2 separate people with 2 people's worth of belongings that you bought for us. I asked who is entitled to a room that's empty 346 days per year or an office that's used twice a week and why I'm the unreasonable one for wanting some space. After that we were yelling in circles and Kate took her laptop and locked herself in the guest room. Dad asked what does she think she's doing and she said Googling nursing homes with bunk beds, which helped not at all. So, are we the buttholes? Today my aunt and grandma visited and called us ungrateful for everything we have and were disappointed in us. I don't believe I'm an ass because I'm just asking to use the space we already have but at the end of the day it's my parents' house, not mine. Kate and I wouldn't be angry if we lived in a 2-bedroom house but 4 bedrooms? 1 room just sitting there, being a waste of square foot and taxes? And we have to share? Sorry for any mistakes, I'm not a native speaker but I spend too much time online. I showed Kate and she said paragraphs. I'm gonna go with not the butthole. Your parents are putting the possibilities of needing a whole room for a guest once or twice a year over the very real needs of their daughters who live there 365 days a year. Also your sister saying she's Googling nursing homes with bunk beds is hilarious. Not the butthole. She said Googling nursing homes with bunk beds. Thank you for making me laugh as well. Not the butthole. But I laughed to tears about nursing homes with bunk beds. If my kid said that to me, I'd have a really hard time taking myself so seriously that I wouldn't fall over laughing. I do think a dedicated guest room and a dedicated office is a ridiculous waste when the family harmony would be drastically improved by separating children. My office is moving to the dining room because I can no longer use my daughter's closet as an office. She needs privacy and personal space. Am I the butthole for leaving my cousin's wedding and taking back my gift because my dress was inappropriate? Hi all. I, 18 female, recently attended my cousin A's, 25 female, wedding in Australia. Lots went down, and I'm getting flack for my dress. We are an Indian family, and A's husband M, 26 male, is white, so there were 2 ceremonies, like the Jonas Chopra wedding. Is pretty similar I wore to the Indian ceremony, and to keep with the floral pink theme, I decided I would wear to the Christian ceremony. A is my favorite cousin and the one I'm closest to, so I decided to go all out with my gift. My family got them something, and I added a little envelope with a check for $1,000 that I had saved from working. The Gagra choli was fine for the Indian ceremony, so I figured the dress would, too, because they look similar in color and pattern. However, my dress was deemed inappropriate by M's family, and they approached me saying so. I thought it was because of the slit, but they all said it looked too pale and unacceptable, even though it was a blush pink with bright, almost neon colors on it. I said sorry, but I didn't have another dress suitable enough for a wedding that I could change into, and M's family seemed mad. I left it at that and went on with my day. The ceremony was beautiful, and I was happy for A and M. However, when the wine started flowing at the reception, everything went out of control. I was on the dance floor partying it up with family and friends when I felt a splash down my front. I looked down, and I almost freaked out because I thought I got shot or something. There was this huge red wine stain dripping down my front, and I saw M's sister, mom, and aunt laughing, with M's sister holding a glass. I saw red, and that's when I snapped. I started yelling about how they ruined a brand new dress for a stupid reason. They kept laughing, and I saw A giggle and M grin. That's when I decided I would leave and take back the check. That's when they stopped laughing. M started to ask me to stay, and when his fam realized how much money was in the envelope, they started to apologize and talk about how that money could be helpful in this economy. I left because I felt disrespected. Now M, his family, and my parent all say it is bad taste for different reasons. My fam wants me to keep the peace, but I don't want to give my hard-earned money to horrid people. Now I am getting texts, DMs, and WhatsApp, and my phone is just blowing up. I refuse to talk to A until she gets her husband to apologize, and she is trying. He just won't. Am I the butthole? Edit. My age. I am 18, not 19. Also, I am from the United States, not Australia, for context. Also, at the Indian ceremony, I wore maroon red, traditional Indian wedding colors, and, to the Christian, a white dress. More info, it wasn't a conservative wedding by any means. The venue wasn't a church, it was this pretty outdoor botanical garden. As for A helping, as soon as she saw my face and reaction, she left to come to help me. I left her and walked out, yelling about me taking the money back, and that is when M's family tried to stop me. Not the butthole, if that's the dress you wore, then they seem to be overly concerned. But if A was laughing/smirking about the wine, maybe she's the one who was upset by it? Regardless, an apology from either of them sounds like it would be meaningless. Keep the money and treat yourself. Not the butthole. Aussie here. That dress is 100% fine. Sure, the base color is quite light but it's clearly fully patterned. If that isn't an acceptable dress to wear to a wedding in Australia, then 70% of the guests at Australian summer weddings are Oz. Not the butthole, tell them you needed the money to replace the dress that they ruined. Smile. Am I the butthole for not getting rid of my pets so my pregnant friend could stay with me? I, 32 female, have 4 rescue pigeons that cannot be released because of health reasons, for example can't fly. They're happy birds and have a good life. I live alone in an inherited house and half of the top floor is converted into a big pigeon room where they have all their stuff. They're trained to potty in specific places but can roam around the house exception kitchen. They have their sleep places in the big room and are locked there at night for their safety. My friend, we're not really friends anymore, we were a long time ago, now we just kind of know each other. Our lives move down in totally opposite directions. 32 female, Chantel, has currently 2 kids and is 5 months pregnant with her third. Her partner was locked up a few months back and she's about to be evicted because she hasn't paid rent in 12 months. One day, out of the blue, she knocked on my door and started chatting. She told me everything and asked if it would be possible for me to let her move in and she'd pay rent. I refused, saying that I don't have the room for her and the kids. She told me I could get rid of my birds and they could take the room upstairs. I said that absolutely not, and unfortunately, I won't be able to help her. She freaked out, told me I was a selfish butthole, that I cannot are doing more about animals than humans and a lot of other nasty things. I kicked her out. I rarely go on Facebook, I have my old one from uni but I rarely go. Not even 24 hours after I kicked Chantel out, my other friend messaged me to log in to see what's happenings and Chantel was slagging me off everywhere. Posting's nasty things and her friends joined her and it was just so very nasty. I do feel bad though and I wonder if they're right, perhaps I am the butthole here. Should I have let her stay with me? Not the butthole. She got kicked out for not paying rent for over a year, and then told you she'd definitely pay you rent. Does that seem likely to you? You'd end up being trapped in your own home by someone who'd then claim I have a newborn, you can't kick me out. And constantly find another reason to force you to let her occupy your home with her family while contributing nothing. Not the butthole, now pay the bird tax. I want to see the lil guys. Am I the butthole for inviting my brother's wife and their kids but not his girlfriend and their daughter on family vacations? I'm usually the person in the family who plans family vacations. My brother is still married to his wife, but she kicked him out after he got his girlfriend pregnant. I love my sister-in-law and she'll always be family to me no matter what happens between her and my brother, so I've always invited her and her children to our family vacations, and I plan to continue doing so. My parents also invite her to all of our other family events and have made it clear to my brother his girlfriend isn't welcome. My brother has never said anything about it, but his girlfriend is angry that her and her daughter have been continuously excluded for the last 3 years. Her entire argument is that her daughter is getting old enough to understand that her siblings are favored over her and it isn't fair, so I have to stop excluding them, especially since she isn't going anywhere and her daughter is our family too. Our next vacation is planned for February and she's demanding I invite them, but I've said no as I don't want to make my sister-in-law uncomfortable, since it seems like she's finally stopped wanting a divorce and being angry with my brother. Am I the butthole? For clarity, your brother's mistress is upset because she and her daughters are not included to events of the family whose marriage she broke up? Whyna? Not the butthole. I personally would invite only the wife and kids and tell your brother to get the frick out. Not the butthole. My partner just cheated and I wish my brother-in-law was as awesome as you. Am I the butthole for giving my husband my honest opinion after he asked? My husband and I, 42F, 39M, recently passed through his hometown and so made a trip by his childhood house to show me where he grew up. He was ecstatic to find that the Chinese takeaways / fish and chip shop that his mum got for him each Friday as a kid to was still open 20 plus years later. Even though we're on a diet, I decided to indulge him and go there for a nostalgia dinner. Big mistake. After spending half an hour talking to the elderly Chinese owner about how he used to go there as a kid, without consideration for me just standing there waiting, he ordered half the menu. Fish and chips, lemon chicken, sweet and sour pork, chicken fried rice. His excuse being we could save leftovers for the next few days. Even though he knows we are on a diet. When we finally got home to eat, he asked me what I thought. I'm someone that speaks how I feel, he knows this, so I was honest, it was terrible. The chips were too salty and not crispy enough, fried rice skimped on the meat, sweet and sour pork didn't feel authentic, among other things. I'm confident if not for my husband's nostalgia glasses he would say the same. My husband is acting like I personally insulted his late mother. As if I was supposed to lie and pretend to like a disgusting meal he didn't even make. I stand by my comments 100%, but want to know if I am the butthole here or if my husband just needs to man up a bit. Am I the butthole? You're the butthole. Greater than my husband is acting like I personally insulted his late mother. Because you did. Greater than he was ecstatic to find that the Chinese takeaways / fish and chip shop that his mum got for him each Friday as a kid. You didn't have to rag on it. You could have just said it wasn't your style. Holy poop, you're the butthole. Your husband wanted to take you on a trip down memory lane to a place that was important to him when he was a child. And you defecated all over that trip. All you had to do was say something like, I'm so glad you're enjoying it, and thank you for sharing this with me. You all were on a diet? Big whoop. It's one evening and a one-off event. Too many people use phrases like I'm someone that speaks how I feel to justify buttholery. Just so here. Apologize to your husband for your gross insensitivity. Am I the butthole for having cars towed from the parking area of the property I rent out after giving 48 hours notice? I, 35 male, bought a new home a couple years ago. Instead of selling my old house, I decided to rent it out instead. My current tenants have been there for about 18 months and for the most part I haven't had any problems with them. We recently had a large snowstorm in our area, about 20 inches in a 3-day period. As part of the rental agreement, I pay a plow service to clear the driveway and parking area of my rental property after large storms. Other times I just go over there with my own snowblower and take care of it. I ask my tenants to move their cars out of the parking area and driveway so that the plow truck can maneuver properly and move the snow safely. My tenants are a family and they have 3 to 4 cars depending on if their oldest is staying with them or not. She is in college nearby and sometimes stays at home instead of at school. I always give 48-hour notice when I schedule the plow truck to come so that my tenants have ample notice and time to move their cars. I sent an email to them notifying them of the date and time that the plow truck was scheduled to be at the house, but I got no reply. So I sent a text, but also got no response. I tried calling but got no answer, so I left a message, but didn't hear back. The day the plow truck was scheduled, I got a call from the driver saying that he can't plow the snow because there are too many cars in the way. I went over there and there were 5 cars, 2 of which I didn't recognize. The driver said he had knocked on the door but no one answered. I tried too, but no one was home. I tried calling again but no answer. I eventually had to tell the driver to leave because he had other jobs to get to. I sent another email saying that they have 24 hours to move their vehicles or they will be towed so the snow can be removed. I got no response to that email either. The next day I went to the house again and tried calling one last time, but no answer. So, I called a tow truck and had all 5 cars towed and got the plow truck to clear the snow. The next day I finally got a call back from my tenant. He said they were out of state visiting family for the holidays and didn't have cell service or internet access. He asked if I could wait on removing the snow until they get back in a couple days. I had to tell him that their cars had already been towed. He was not happy. There was a string of expletives about how I had no right to tow their cars and that 2 of the cars were family members who were traveling with them. I advised him to reread the rental agreement regarding parking and snow removal because I was completely within my rights to remove cars after giving proper advance notice. He let loose with a string of expletives that would make a sailor blush and threatened to sue me for damages. I once again told him to review the lease, but he told me to hash it off and hung up. I do feel bad, but there are city ordinances about snow removal that I need to adhere to as the homeowner. Not the butthole. If it's in the lease and as a homeowner there are requirements for snow removal you have to adhere to or be at risk of fines by the city, then what the hell are you supposed to do? Leave the snow and make them pay the fines? There's no good answer to this. Given they've lived there long enough to have gone through this before, they could have tried to be prepared to have someone come move the cars if they weren't there, or keep the cars somewhere else. It's not your fault they weren't reachable for days. They were out of state visiting family for the holidays and didn't have cell service or internet access. I find this a little hard to believe. No texts, emails or phone calls? And where were they when they finally called you back? They weren't going to be home for a couple more days after that. Sucks for them, but obligations don't go away just because you're out of town. Not the butthole. There are city ordinances about snow removal that I need to adhere to as the homeowner. Not the butthole. This is going to sound a little odd, but it reminded me of when I used to sell alcohol. So many times I would get cussed out for refusing a sale, but I had to follow both company rules and the law. One day with a particularly ornery customer, I finally snapped and said, "Look, I like you and all, yes, that was sarcasm, but I'm not risking going to jail for you, sorry. Is it possible to renegotiate the contract, if he decides to stay, going forward so that the renters are responsible for snow removal? Am I the butthole for telling my stepdad FCKU for opening my package? This is just a short and sweet story, so bear with me. My mom's Christmas present came in late this year and finally arrived yesterday. However, when I got home from work I see the package on the counter open with my mom and stepdad in the living room next to it. I was upset and asked who opened it, to which my stepdad replied that he did. I asked why he opened my package and he said I didn't see your name on it, so I checked the package and lo and behold it's right there, my name. I got increasingly frustrated and explained that was mom's gift that I wanted to give her, which he said, "Oh, oops. Should have told me," and all I said was simply "fuck you." And went to my room. I feel like I overreacted a bit due to my history of anger issues, so what do you think? Am I the butthole? Not the butthole. He saw the name. It's purely a control issue. It will get worse. Not the butthole. Greater than this is just a short and sweet story. There's nothing sweet about someone else opening your mail. Greater than I asked why he opened my package and he said I didn't see your name on it. That's a pathetic excuse. Greater than he said, "Oh, oops. Should have told me." No, he should not open mail without first checking whether he is the intended recipient. Greater than all I said was simply "fuck you." Short and to the point. Very efficient. Greater than I feel like I overreacted a bit due to my history of anger issues. Nope. Your stepdad should count himself lucky that all he got was a bit of cussing in response to his negligent actions. Opening mail not addressed to you without consent is a felony. Not the butthole.